YouTube, chicks. Get ready. You know what to do, chicks.
Listen, Chick Smooth.
Hey, Chick Smooth. Appreciate all the coverage that you've been doing. I've been watching your shit for a while. I just subscribed to your shit too, bro.
Oh, no, you guys. This is all bad. Melyssa Ford has found herself in quite a pickle, you guys. Now, after changing her podcast name from The Menopod to now Hot and Bothered. Now, Melyssa was met with some backlash over the name because if you actually go and search, there's at least 4 or 5 podcasts with the same name. One of the podcasts with the name Hot and Bothered are not happy with Melyssa Ford. Last night, the 2 hosts from a podcast named Hot and Bothered actually took to Instagram to call her out. Not only for stealing their podcast name, but also stealing their slogan, apparently. Melyssa Ford went on Instagram Live to double down on taking the podcast name from them, all because those guys are not Melyssa Ford.
I am clear on the fact that there are other podcasts with that name, but they don't have my following and they don't have my zhuzh, and they're just not fucking me, so I don't care. It is Hot and Bothered with Melyssa Ford. That is the difference. Felt like by calling it the Menopod, I was going to be leaving men out of the conversation, and I really just didn't want to, because those 2 other podcasts, they are not really active. And also, I don't really care. It's, it's Hot and Bothered with Melyssa Ford, so I'm really not interested in what anybody else is doing. My shit's going to be fucking amazing. That's basically it.
Yesterday on the new Joe Budden podcast, episode 763, Melyssa Ford was also laughing at stealing the podcast name, all because the other podcasts with the same name are smaller than her.
Yeah, y'all shut the fuck. Listen, it's Hot and Bothered with Melyssa Ford, all right? Them white bitches that we stole that name from ain't make no noise. What they did? What have they done?
The original one, dun 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 dun. Ours goes dun dun dun
Yeah,
dun dun.
come
dun.
on, man. Listen, we got a Melyssa Ford and they don't. That's why it's Hot and Bothered with Melyssa Ford. Who cares about the bitches I took this name from? I took it, bitch. My voice is louder. I can steal from smaller creators and pass it on.
Oh, that's fucked up. Don't do that. Come on.
Hey, I do that shit. Hey, the niggas with 7 views be cooking sometimes.
Give him. Let me get
Hey, you gotta check the views. Nigga be like 25 views.
No
like, how long that was out? For months. Oh, what? Give me that tape.
You made it a hotline. I made it a hot
song,
song.
man. What you gonna do? I'm going to hell.
That's fucked up. You are.
The jail in hell, too.
Shit.
The most uncomfortable part of hell. It ain't gonna be the poker table up there. It's gonna be something foul.
Yeah.
On the more important things, right? Oh my God, I love New Mel. I swear to God. Bitch.
Now here's the response from the other Hot and Bothered podcast host.
Okay, so this is what we know. What we know is that I woke up on Monday morning to a DM from a stranger saying somebody else is using your name, your podcast name. So I obviously immediately sent it to Chris, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? And then we spend the next 48 hours spiraling, being like, why is this happening? And not only is our name being used as the name of another podcast, but our slogan is also being used in this person's bio, and in the caption of their Instagram post is, quote, "Are you hot or are you bothered?" Does that sound familiar?
It sounds a little familiar.
Does that sound familiar?
It sounds a little familiar.
Does that sound familiar?
I've heard it before.
I feel like I've heard that before.
I've heard it before.
I just I don't know. I just don't feel like that's super original. I don't know. I'm just maybe a little torn about that. Obviously, the plot thickens. Then people are commenting not only on our shit, but on her shit, saying not only did she take your name, but she also is publicly admitting to taking your name because she has more of a following.
Well, because she's Melyssa Ford.
Because she's Melyssa Ford. Because she's Melyssa Ford. She obviously has more of a following. So
there's that.
Then we're seeing these comments, and we're like, where is this happening? Where is this being publicly admitted? Because as Chris and I have made abundantly clear, we don't know who Melyssa Ford is.
No idea.
Do we care?
No.
Not really.
No.
So we get to investigating, and what do we find? If not anything other than a video of her literally saying, I know other podcasts are using this name, but they're not me because I'm Melyssa Ford and I'm better and I have more of a following.
Also, that these other podcasts are not active, which is interesting because all it takes is a quick little search to see that we're quite active. But I really respect her conviction, and I really love that mentality, but just maybe be a little more creative next time. Maybe run it by whoever's, managing whatever you're doing. I'm not sure.
But maybe be a little more original.
Yeah,
just an idea, just a thought.
Just a thought.
I mean, there's a million other things you could name a podcast, and here we are. Basically, not only is our name being used for another podcast, but our slogan also.
Which is the entire premise of the podcast. Regardless of the content, regardless of what's said, regardless of what we say, because it's different every day.
Absolutely. We talk about literally everything.
Yeah.
So to not only, dare I say, copy our name, but to copy our slogan.
We can do better.
We could do better. So if you want to hear it from her mouth directly. Okay, we are responding to comments. We're responding to DMs. And you guess what? As we're doing all of this, do you want to tell them, Chris?
We got blocked. We found out her burner account. We got blocked.
Chris literally commented. There was like an inconspicuous. Is that the right word? There's this account that's commenting on everything, and Chris commented.
And I was like,
from our account.
Melyssa, we know this is your burner.
And guess what?
Blocked across the board.
We're all blocked. Our personal accounts, our podcast account, fully everything blocked.
Love it.
Was that our burner account? Was it her burner account? What was that? Can you guys still see her page? Someone tell us, what's going on here?
Now, also, in addition to this video, their fans have actually infiltrated Melyssa Ford's comments. If you guys go to Melyssa Ford's Hot and Bothered comments, all you can see is their fans calling out Melyssa for taking their name. Now, today on Twitter Spaces, Melyssa Ford was on timing. Melyssa Ford went off on the podcast host of Hot and Bothered, calling them out for being clout chasers and using this situation to benefit themselves.
Podcasts with the same name. I don't understand why these fucks think they invented the wheel. They did not. They took a fucking phrase that was coined in 1920 to talk about what? Women going through menopause. What the fuck are we talking about here? And these are two 20-somethings in LA talking about their dating lives. Go ahead. I don't care. We are not going to be delivering the same content so we can have the same similar name, but it's different because it's with Melyssa Ford. That is the difference. That's the significant difference to where our audiences will not overlap. Trust me when I say my audience does not give a fuck about what you're talking about, and your audience probably doesn't really give a shit about me, and that is fine. Can we all just be and play well in the fucking sandbox together? Look, let me give you an example, and I do not want to, I'm not dragging my friend into this, but it's just such a perfect example. My girl Roxy started a podcast called More to the Story. And if you haven't watched it, you should, because fucking Roxy is fucking amazing at what she does. That girl is talented as hell. And she's going to be a guest on my podcast, and I'm going to be a guest on hers. Her show is called More to the Story. Google how many shows are called More to the Story. There's 11. And I know she's not dealing with the harassment that I'm dealing with and the accusations of thievery and stealing and whatever else. What the fuck? And that's another reason. That's another reason why Homegirl did what she did, because she could lean into that narrative because she saw what was happening on my fucking page with this other podcast calling me a thief and blah 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 and stealing. I'm stealing. You even stole the concept. How can I steal the concept for your show? I'm not 20-something and I'm not white. What the fuck? And I'm not going to be talking about you dating in LA.
Well, wait. All right.
Go ahead.
I think having the same name is not the same as stealing a name, and people are kind of playing into that, oh, she's a thief or she's not a girl's girl aspect of it by kind of even alluding to that. Having, like you said, there's distinct differences, distinct things, and it's okay to play in the same sandbox, but saying that you're stealing something versus sharing the same fucking name is completely different.
Listen.
We gotta come up with another word for stealing, by the way. We gotta figure that out.
No, you know what? They need to understand what legal terms are. There is no theft here whatsoever. And by the way, why the fuck didn't you guys get the TikTok? Why didn't you get the Twitter? Y'all left a whole lot of shit on the fucking table. Have you guys branded this in any way? Have you created any fucking merch? Don't even get me started on like the legal shit that I've already done the homework on, and it is available. Like, what are we talking about right now? What they're doing, they're acting like parasites, looking for a fucking host, and that is me. And they're suckling from my fucking skin right now, which is my audience. They're getting all this attention because Reddit already posted this fucking chick's videos and shit like that. Oh shit, look at the tea. This ain't tea. This ain't tea. Stop feeding this shit, people. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous.
I'm late to this part. So white people are accusing.
Yeah, they made a whole.
White people cannot accuse black people of being creatively.
That part.
That's not possible.
That part. But they do. They
steal everything.
They do. They do. MAGA, they do.
Now, at this point, if you're Melyssa Ford, you have to keep running with this name, Hot and Bothered with Melyssa Ford. You can't possibly change the podcast name for a third time, which is why I completely understand why the other podcast is pissed off at her. You knew we had the podcast name already. Doesn't matter if you're bigger than us, go find another name for your podcast. We could have 2 followers listening to our podcast weekly. I don't care. Go get you another name. If the roles were reversed and somebody white did this to Melyssa Ford, I'm pretty sure she's going to feel the same way. You guys get in the comments below. What do you guys think about this initial Hot and Bothered podcast host calling out Melyssa Ford? Do you guys think they're clout chasing by doing this? Did they call out other people that have the same podcast name as well? Post your comments below. Subscribe to my channel, like this video. I'll see you guys later, man.